Hello and welcome to the world as we see it. Today it's a bit of a standard kind of update day. Um, we've got a little bit to tell you about Sarum College. Okay, in that I've received my new assignments, and so I hope to share with you that, which is a little bit daunting. Okay, the new assignments, and I'll go through them in a moment. But the essential thing that we have to know is that the new assignments are, there are two of them. There are two things we need to do, and they are 2,500 words each, which is between them a lot more than the last two. So suddenly it gets serious. I feel like I'm having to swim in the deep end. So that's both exciting and daunting, right? So anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. Two other things to update really. One is Sebastian had another therapy session today. Our little old man did very well, as he always does actually. So the assessment went very well. His first day, which was on Monday, was excellent to see, and we got some videos of that. And today he went with his mum, and he went along, and we've got some more videos. So that's all good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to see whether I can share the screen with you for the assignments, and I know I will be able to. It's just a matter of having to click the right buttons in the right order, and then you'll be able to see them. So let's see if we can organise that, easily enough. Yes, I think we can. So yeah, that was quite good. That's the first thing, which is very, very good. Yeah, I'm rather pleased about that. I have heard actually from an old friend of mine from Ling Claxton, who she's retired now, but she worked for about 20 odd years on the island of Lanzarote in international school. She was a primary school teacher, and there she was able to see children who were bilingual, and she was able to make various observations about children who have delayed speech. Let me just see if that makes a difference to you. I think it does. Sebastian, one of the things that he does, which is what she was talking about, was she said that if children have soft food, very often their tongue and their cheeks don't build up enough strength, and the sounds will come out wrong. And I had a chance to reflect on that, and I thought, yeah, Sebastian, if we give him vegetables, if they're not mashed down, he doesn't like them. Well, it's quite a fussy, and I just thought, well, he's just a fussy eater, isn't he? That's what he is. And I wrote it off as just that. Well, actually, it may be more than that. Right? He likes porridge in the morning. That's soft and mushy. He likes vegetables, which are just like a mixed vegetable stew, and all of that needs to be mashed down. And then he likes omelette and rice. Again, soft, easy to swallow food. So I kind of think that maybe Lynn is onto something there. And I think that's another area where we will be able to potentially do something, right? With the behaviour folk, with the people who we're working with, these occupational therapists. because if it's behaviour based, they can, or they're confident they can do something with it, right? So I think that sounds very, very plausible, right? Okay. Now I'm going to share with you my assignment screen, and then we can have a bit of a chat about the assignments because they're interesting. So that worked. That's good, isn't it? Doesn't always go as swimmingly as that. Now there is. Now I'm going to see if I can just make it slightly bigger without getting in the way. That way you can at least maybe see it. If you can see it, that's all good. If not, I'll see if I can give it one more click. If we make it that much bigger, does that? Well, that's fine, doesn't it? That's much better. Okay, so component 1. Okay. Written assignment, 2,500 words, and we have to choose one of the following. So the first option is ministry is not just a role one plays. Discuss this statement with reference to this module, and the module is all about human identity, theology, vocation, and professional practice. All right, and explore the implications for your own ministry. So that's lay or ordained. Now, that's very interesting. I mean, it's something to think about. I don't know what I want to do yet. I haven't really made my mind up, but that's an interesting one. Now, one of the things, I had my tutorial last night at 2:00 in the morning, and the tutor was saying that in her book, vocation does not belong to one person. It is not a personal career choice. It is bigger than that. And so she was saying some of the themes that we could be talking about is, how is vocation rooted in the Hebrew Bible? Being true to myself whilst fulfilling the vocation. So, recognizing that we are representatives of a church, of standards which sometimes might not be exactly aligned with what we think, right? She said, inhabiting a role with confidence, competence, and personally get out of the way a bit. So very often when doing the job, whether it's dealing with a wedding or funerals in particular, not talking about yourself, right? Doing the job which is expected of you, because people who turn up see not just you, they see you in the role, they see you as the church, they see you as Christian, one of them, and all of that sort of stuff. So that's very, very interesting. Then, how do people see us when we are turning up in our role? They don't see us as necessarily individuals. They see us in the same way as a policeman is seen as a policeman, a nameless policeman. Interesting. Okay. So she was saying that component 1 relates to the nature of a role. Are we just inhabiting a role? What is it to be representative? To what extent am I taking on a role which is defined not by me but by others? All of this, food for thought. Okay, let's have a look at the second option. The second option is, God is milking the cows through the vocation of the milkmaid. And this is a quote from Martin Luther. Is this a sufficient understanding of vocation? Outline your understanding of the nature of vocation with reference to this module and the life of your worshipping community. And in this, the notes that I had is I've got, the milkmaid is milking the cows and she is doing God's work, and therefore she is fulfilling God's ministry. Right? So those are the notes from the tutorial last night, regards to option number 2 there relating to component 1. The third one is, churches could be better at taking account of human diversity and difference, and discuss with specific reference to the issues of personality types, learning preferences and faith development related in this module, not LLF, which is living in love and faith. So not to do with LGBTQAI plus folk, but specifically relating to different types of personality and learning difference and all of that. How are people in different places in their faith journey, young children, 2-year-olds, primary children. 2-year-olds are generally, they rebel, they're becoming independent of thought. Primary children are rule-based. They will come home from school saying, Mrs. Smith said that you can't put the red one in the blue one, Mum. So rules are very important. Teenagers rebel again, and how different we are, and recognizing and talking about how difference is it's neither good nor bad. So that's interesting, right? That's interesting. Then we've got, so that's the first essay to be written. The second one, it says, write a theological reflection following your listening exercise and the discussion of it with your training supervisor. Now, the listening exercise relates specifically to the local learning group. Okay, and this is something that I am going to have to do more of. I'm going to have to create a local learning group. I'm going to have to go back to our congregation at St. George's here in Pattaya in Thailand and really just sit down and say, look, I need to borrow you for 15 minutes and I need to get this work done. Pause, eat cake if you want, drink coffee as and when, but I really need your help, guys. And hopefully that might mean that I end up with a local learning group. That's what I've got to do. So the local learning group, I need to see how the process of making case notes or verbatim account impacted on my quality of listening. And I need to include an excerpt of my case notes or verbatim account in no more than 300 words. And in what ways discussing the exercise with your training supervisor impacted on your understanding of the situation, and what implications that might have for your pastoral ministry. And then I need to do a critical reflection on the issues raised in the listening and where I see the imago Dei most clearly in the interviewee. So this is very interesting, right? This is very interesting. And so I'm very keen to crack on with that with the congregation. So it says your theological reflection should clearly follow one of the patterns of theological reflection you encounter in the module where the listening exercise is your event. So the listening exercise material is given in Unit 4, that's fine, to equip you for this, and time is allocated 2.5 hours in a later unit for the exercise to take place. However, you may find you need to do the exercise earlier in the module, and if that is the case, please make sure that you have read the Unit 4 material beforehand. You need to pay particular attention to Section 9 of the Unit Week 4 that outlines your responsibilities under GDPR and requires a form to be completed by the person you are listening to and a copy returned to the college. So I need from our congregation a guinea pig, right? I need one person who's willing to take part in Unit 4. If we go to Unit 4 and it goes to listening, this is listening to others. So this is, and there's the consent form. I can see the consent form there and how I can upload it, so that's fine. And listening to others, let's go straight in there and see what it says we need to do, because I'm not sure. Right, so in this unit we focus on developing our listening skills to help us genuinely attend to each other. As part of this, In this unit, there will be a local learning group instead of the tutorial. As you will recall, the LLG is intended to be a forum for you to learn both how to share your own learning effectively with group members, and to draw out and learn from the theological understanding already present among members. It is also meant to be a forum for you to practice and learn leadership and facilitation skills. Extra time is budgeted within the unit for you to prepare for the LLG. And we can go on to the next section. I mean, all of this is, when I read this, I'm rather daunted by having to somehow mould our congregation into what I need the LLG to do. Okay, but it's fine. I think it will work. We've had a go. We have had a go in the past trying to get them to have a bit of a discussion about the homily that Father David writes, and that didn't work so well, but that's okay. Maybe when it comes to this, maybe we will be able to do something a bit more constructive, right? Now, obviously, this is all background reading. And I'm just trying to jump through the different options. Oh, I can see at the bottom there, right? So I'm going to jump to the listening exercise and see what it says. And there's two. It says listening exercise. There's two. And right, so this section is primarily thinking of your listening exercise in component 2 of your assignment. 2.5 hours is given to this in the next week's units as a reminder. Arrange a visit, an individual connected with the church, explaining that this will be part of your ministerial training that is intended to help you develop your pastoral skills. Okay, so then we've got an introduction, and we will go on. We're going to read that later, but we don't need to do that now. There are 3 verses that reflect how we listen, right? And let's go on to the next one. And I think what we'll do is we'll go on to listening exercise where it says reflection. Right, taking notes. That's all. That's straightforward. I can do that later. So this is the actual task which I'm going to need to do with a member of our congregation. I think what I might have to do is share this. So, reflecting further, both case notes and verbatim records, right, written, theological reflection on your listening exercise. You're asked to give a short excerpt of your notes. One format to try. Finally, you should reflect on the critical issues raised by your interpretation, and that's strange. So, taking notes. So that was it. I didn't see an actual task there. We're going to go back to 5. This is interesting, isn't it? Because I shot through 5 because it didn't seem to say task. Develop part. This should be right. So including their right. So okay, it would be best to frame it as an opportunity for you to find out about the key influences on their life, including their faith and their experience of church. But be open to wherever the conversation may go. There may be surprises along the way and even pastoral issues they may wish to touch on. Okay, so that's the job. And I can think of a couple of people who may well be willing to come and have a cup of coffee with me. Obviously there'll be biscuits, and maybe we could do it that way. Maybe we could have the visit, have the meeting over coffee and biscuits on a Monday, and that would work. So I think that's what we're going to have to do, and then let them talk, right? And I listen and take some notes, and I think that's clearly going to have to be how I do it. Some guy. 1224Q has asked for us to pray for him. Yes, and I can see your message there, some guy 1224. And what we will do is we will pray for you at the end of, not at the very end, but during this transmission, we do make space to pray together. We have the Lord's Prayer, and we also say the collect of the day from the Church of England. And so we would be very happy to include you in our prayers. That's of course something we'd be happy to do. I mean, I know that maybe you don't want to share your name, and that's okay. But maybe you could share a name. It doesn't necessarily have to be your whole actual name, but at least that instead of me saying some guy 1224Q, you could just give me a name, which I could just mention in our prayers when we come to the end of the transmission, if that's okay. Of course, if you'd rather not, then I'll use your username. That's fine. That's the least we can do. All right. So I've seen your message, and we definitely will do that. Okay, for sure, no problem. And I'll see if I can reply to that to him now. Let's do that. Yes, of course, we will include you in our prayers between the Lord's Prayer and the collect. And so there we are. And I'm going to say again, it would be helpful if I had a name, even if it is not your actual name, because it's easier, since that is easier than saying a username. Okay, so now what we are going to do now, I think we will come back to the full phase. I feel like I've given you an idea of the task I have to do for Sarum College, and yeah, very good to hear from some guy 1224Q, by the way, and the fact that you followed us. It's very. I should ring my bell. We ring the bell when somebody follows, and we've got a new follower today, so that's wonderful. Very, very good to see. And yeah, maybe you could even tell us, some guy 1224Q, you could tell us maybe where you are, where in the world, because that also would help us, not just me, but other people who are seeing this transmission in the future. I'm sure that they would be very happy to pray for you as well. And so if you were able just to give us a name and a location, then you know that would be helpful. And again, you don't have to give us your address. Maybe you could just say something, you know, what continent you are on, if you didn't mind. Okay. Yes, I will write that to you as well. I'll suggest that maybe you could also share with us what continent you are on, and that would certainly help the other people who are listening, who I'm sure will join in and pray for you. That would at least help them, you know, focus their prayers too. Okay, it's not essential. You don't have to, but I think it would just be more helpful, yeah, than the username. Okay. So I feel like I've given you a bit of an introduction to the next month's work. It's all about human identity. It's all about you know, vocation. It's all about, you know, the vocation of ministry. and who we are. Who am I? And when I, one day in the future am able to say, I am a priest. What does that mean? And what do people see when they do meet someone who is a priest? It's all rather complex, isn't it? Because I think most people are aware that we don't, wear specific hats all day long. The person I am with, my friends is different from the person I am with my son. Is different from the person I am when I go to church. And so I think it's a really complex conversation when we think about identity. And I'm rather looking forward to this module. I'll be coming back every week, filling you in, keeping you up to date. Tomorrow is Thursday. If I've done any more work. Now, I don't think tomorrow's Friday, in fact, isn't it? Tomorrow's Friday. So tomorrow is the Church Times. Okay, we'll be going through the Church Times headlines and making some comments there. Also, tomorrow is the Thai festival of Loy Krathong. And Loy Krathong is a Buddhist festival which takes place all around us here in Thailand. And although we're not Buddhists, it's fair to say it looks rather pretty. Okay, there's a lot of candles being floated out on water onto rivers and lakes and things like that. And it's very beautiful. It's actually a lot to do with absolution. So the principle is that people are floating these Loy Krathongs out onto the water, asking for forgiveness, and they by doing so, they start afresh. They are essentially absolved of their sins, and they are washed clean, if you like. So the whole thing, as I say, it's rather pretty. Anyway, we have come to that time in the evening, having done all of the things I wanted to do in my little agenda there about Sarum College. And I think what we will do is we will say the Lord's Prayer. Now, of course, as I always say, if this is not your cup of tea, if you would rather not join in, then you don't have to. But what I would ask is that you do put down your mobile phone, stop what you're doing. If you're chopping carrots or if you're making a cup of coffee, just stop that for a moment and be with us. Be with us in the room, even if you don't want to say the prayers. If you don't want to join in, that's okay. But just pause for thought, okay? And for everyone else, if you would like to, then you can join us by praying with confidence to the Father, as our Saviour has taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. And Lord, we would like to take this opportunity now to pray for a follower of ours whose username is someguy1224Q, who has asked us to pray for him, to think of him. I would ask you to offer him healing if he needs it, and offer him strength if he needs it, and offer him peace should he need it. Heavenly Lord, you long for the world's salvation. Stir us from apathy. Restrain us from excess. And revive in us new hope that all creation will one day be healed. In Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Now, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that time, that space with us. I know it was only a short mention, but some guy 1224Q, you are very welcome to get in touch with us, either by messaging through Twitch, or you may well have seen some of the Facebook links above in the little ticker above my head, and our website page, if you want to find us and send us a message there, is St. George's Patia on Facebook. So if you go for @St. George's Patia, then you will find us. What I will do is I will share that. I will purposefully share that with you now, and that way you may well be able to find the St. George's Anglican Church here in Pattaya in Thailand, and I'd be very happy to continue the conversation with you. Okay, that would be ideal. So let me send this to you, and that's a link to the church on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook. You can send us any message, and I'm very happy to stay in touch with you. Okay. Now it has got to that time in the evening where I tend to say, with prayers and best wishes, bye-bye for now.